The next corporate on our radar is Galaxy Surfactants. The company has saw, across geographies and segments, there was a bit of a weakness. So the top line growth for the company in the current quarter has declined by 18.7%. While there is a volume growth of 7.5%, there was a decline in the EBITDA per ton, and that led to the overall top line contraction of 18 to 19%. Shekhar, the founder and promoter managing director at the company, is with us on the show now. Morning, and thanks for joining in. This is Reema here. So what can you guide on volumes and on the realization, the EBITDA per ton going ahead? What are the key trends that you're observing?
So we have seen approximately 7% volume growth rate. And this is particularly significant because the last 2 years have more or less been flat. And this volume growth has been entirely driven by the robust and buoyant economy in India. We have experienced a double-digit growth in India, whereas consumption has been significantly impacted in the rest of the world, including Africa, Middle East, and Turkey, Europe, and America, due to persistent inflation. So India has been a very, very good growth story. We do see certain green shoots in Europe as well as the Africa, Middle East region. So we are confident that the coming quarters should be similar to the quarter that we have seen now. So we should expect a similar performance to continue for the rest of the year.
All right. Hi, good morning, Mr. Shekhar. So for the year, you're saying that you'll have a volume growth of around 6 to 8%, and also
right.
what could the EBITDA per ton look like? Okay, volume growth you've got 6 to 8% for the year. You're maintaining that. EBITDA per ton, what will it look like for the year?
The EBITDA per ton, as I said, we have not given any sort of guidance with respect to that. However, we have said that we will see or we will aim for an EBITDA growth compared to last year.
Okay. All right. So good morning. So you said rest of the world is still hurting, right? So the high margin specialty surfactant segment is still doing poorly.
Yeah, high margin specialty segment certainly has been doing not as good as it has been, though we have seen that there has been a growth year on year this quarter compared to the last year. Though on quarter we have seen the volumes as good as flat. Fundamentally, what we have seen is the inflation in the developed countries has made the consumers focus only on basic necessities, on mass and mass-produced products, whereas the discretionary expenditure has been significantly impacted. So we do see, we have seen the specialties growing certainly better than compared to last year, and we do expect the consumption to come back as the inflation eases, which we do see happening in Europe. Europe, the prices have moderated compared to what it was last year.
So do you think Europe can report a volume growth at least in Q2, or is it going to be an H2 story? And what about the rest of the regions, right? Africa, Middle East, Turkey, North America. You're talking about green shoots. Can you break them up in individual segments, in the individual geographies? When can we expect a volume growth or a pickup?
We do see some green shoots in Asia other than China, other parts of Asia other than China. We have seen certain green shoots in Europe. Similarly, we were seeing it in Africa, Middle East, and Turkey, but suddenly we have seen a resurge of inflation in Egypt and Turkey in the last week or so. So this volatility is something that can impact consumption, but we would like to remain hopeful and confident.
All right, Mr. Shekhar, give us a couple of numbers then. Value-added products as a percentage of revenues, how much is it now?
When you say value-added products as a percentage of revenue?
You must be having particular amount of your total sales mix that are higher value, right? Which maybe get better margins. Is that the case?
You are talking about specialties. See, specialties have always contributed to approximately 1/3 of our total sales in terms of volume. Sorry, in terms of value. In terms of value, yeah.
Where is that number headed?
Now that would remain more or less the same going forward, because what has happened in the last 2 years, where people have shifted to the basic necessities, that is mass and masstige products, the performance products have been the category which has been performing. Okay, so when you talk about again this quarter, the performance products have performed, have seen the growth, whereas the specialties have seen a minor decline compared to last year on an overall basis.
Okay, all right. And what is your current capacity utilization levels? I recall that you increased capacity by nearly 50%, in the last 5 years. I think between...
It's in the region of approximately 68 to 70%.
Got it.
All right, Mr. Shekhar, appreciate you joining in, sir. Great speaking with you, and thank you very much once again for joining us here